let you go. There's no way. I'm already still burning. So hold to me close. Now, baby, I do what I'm told. Still learning to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing, to walk that line. Yeah, you got me shifting the paradigm. No longer wishing, you're my lucky strike. Love the way you ride. Look into my eyes, say you're ready to go. $1 million life, yeah. We could roll the dice. Act like you're surprised, but you already know. Oh yeah, got lucky overnight. Jackpot when I got the invite. Let me wrap my arms around you, cause I can't go home without you. And my heart just vibe with you, babe. Wanna go sky high with you, babe. Gotta bring you close to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. Cooler than cold, I'm all in. So load up the dice, so heavy. The way that you roll, I'm falling. So I never fall. I'm ready to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing, to walk that line. Yeah, you got me shifting the paradigm. No longer wishing, you're my lucky strike. Love the way you ride. Look into my eyes, say you're ready to go. $1 million life, yeah. We could roll the dice. Act like you surprised, but you already know. You're my lucky strike, and I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. I can't let you go. There's no way. I'm already still burning. So hold to me close. Now, baby, I do what I'm told. Still learning to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing, to walk that line. Yeah, you got me shifting the paradigm. No longer wishing, you're my lucky strike. Love the way you ride. Look into my eyes, say you're ready to go. $1 million life, yeah. We could roll the dice. Act like you're surprised, but you already know. Oh yeah, got lucky overnight. Jackpot when I got the invite. Let me wrap my arms around you, cause I can't go home without you. And my heart just vibe with you, babe. Wanna go sky high with you, babe. Gotta bring you close to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got
Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another week of the RecPoker podcast. Holy cow. I get excited because we're doing these live on YouTube now, and I always get a little nervous getting started because I'm not exactly the man on the mark when it comes to the audio cues. But so far, everything's going great. We've got a great guest lined up, Steve Davy from the Australian Poker League. We're going to be talking to him real soon. First, I have to thank our sponsors, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, located in Columbus, Minnesota, just north of the Twin Cities. Thank you, Jack Burke, for that excellent clarification. Without their support, we'd have a lot of trouble making all the magic around here, because if you don't know, RecPoker is a largely volunteer-based organization. Most of what we do is free, and so their sponsorship matters a lot. The support of our premium members is the lifeblood of an organization like ours. So I'm so excited to be welcoming a couple new premium members this week. Charles Morgan, who I've been emailing with but haven't had a chance to chat with yet, and Alan Black, who I had a really fun conversation with just the other day. So Charles and Alan, thanks for joining. Your $15 a month makes a big difference to everything we do here. And I can't wait to get to know you a little better as you dip a toe into everything we do here at Rec.Poker. So if you haven't guessed, my name's Jim Reid. I'm Bluffsterini in the home game and at RecPokerJim on Twitter. But I am just one of the what do we call us? I mean, we're the Wrecking Crew, but it's just this group of really passionate poker fans. I get pretty excited just talking about it. If you want to find out about me or more of the members of the Wrecking Crew, you can go to rec.poker/crew. But just listen up, because you're going to meet a few of them right here, right now.
Well, I'm Chris Jones. You can find me 5B5 on Twitter or 5x5 in the PokerStars home game.
And I'm John Somsky. I am Poker Geek MN everywhere.
Miss McHugh. I'm Troy Chapman, and I'm Chapo Australia on the home game.
That's what happens when we do these live. Something's going to go wrong. Troy, I hope that's the worst thing that we screw up tonight. Now, something tells me it's not going to be. Like I say, we're doing these live on YouTube every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern. And if you're joining us in the YouTube chat, feel free to type any questions that you have for Steve in the chat there. We're also going to be doing our weekly food drive raffle. So we'll give away a prize at the end of the show here. This week is going to be a free month of Range Trainer Pro. So we'll talk about what that's all about a little later in the show. But without further ado, we got him all the way. It's Monday night here, but it's Tuesday over there. It's Steve Davy from the Australian Poker League. Steve, thank you so much for coming on and joining us here on the RecPoker podcast.
Not a problem. Good to meet you guys.
Yeah, so we have a lot in common, it sounds like. So you're joining us as part of our Australian invasion over the last couple of weeks. In the next couple of weeks, we've been having a little taster's choice of some of the finest characters to be found on the continent. And Troy Chapman, who you're very familiar with, who's one of our most exciting and fun RecPoker members down there, our Australian ambassador. He's been banging the drum and rounding out some fantastic guests for us. You come from a particular section of the poker scene in Australia, and that's what we're going to talk about a lot here, this league, the way of kind of playing with friends, this kind of layer of the poker world that is really interesting, very recreational friendly as well. Before we get into the meat of that, can you just answer sort of the cliched question of, like, how do you view yourself in the poker world? What's your kind of role when you think about poker? And what got you involved in the game in the way that you're involved now?
Okay, well, I'm a licensee for the Australian Poker League. And basically 2005, many years ago, had one of my best mates, a guy called Frank Luciano, started a company with another guy called Martin Martinez, and they pitched the idea to a group of friends who we all worked at the casino together and had all loved poker and gaming background, and said, we like playing poker at home. Why don't we take this on a bigger level and introduce it to what we call RSL clubs, so Returned Servicemen's League clubs, which are little mini casinos, for want of a better term, around the place, all around Australia, and where we can get people to play poker for free and charge the venue a cost for bringing the players in. So the venue's happy, they get people playing their slot machines, using their facilities, restaurants and bars, etc. And because we charge the venue, we can then put money back towards the league, which then goes to get players into bigger tournaments, such as, we used to send people off to the World Series for who had done well. So it's a recreational league starting for free is how it began. No money was involved. It was 100% free. And yeah, we started there. We started with 1,000 starting stacks in tournaments.
Yes.
550. You call the you're almost committed. Because no one's really had any idea on how it all works. And yeah, 18 years later, I've got slightly more of an idea, but maybe not much.
Well, I love that. I mean, I love the idea of putting the cost onto the establishment and making it easier for casual players and recreational players to get involved. That feels like kind of a slam dunk. Are there is that more of a model in Australia? I know many of our guests are in North America, and I'm sure the regulations differ greatly from country to country.
Well, it's actually, it's not a common model. Well, it is in poker, and poker's become a thing now. We were very lucky when we started because we had no idea how it was going to go. We thought, okay, we'll have a crack at this business and see what happens. 2 weeks before we started, about to launch, we're sending out letters and so forth, getting things happening. Joe Hasham won the World Series.
Oh, yes.
So front page of all the newspapers and TV was Australian guy wins, I forget the amount, but $6 million or whatever playing poker. And we were just like, I'm not a religious man, but hallelujah. That was just an amazing lead in. And the very first tournament that we had, I did projections that maybe we'd get 20 players to the game. And that was, contacting all friends and family and
sure,
beers and everything like that, get along. And I believe we had, it was either 71 or 91 players to my first ever.
Wow.
I didn't know half the rules because we'd just played our little cash games. So, all the little ins and outs that happen on a tournament kind of thing, we just ran with it. And it just got really popular. And I loved the concept of no money involved. As in, you can be without a job, no cash, playing next to a CEO, and it's just who's the best wins. There's no other, outlying factors. So, yeah, that's how it all began.
That's awesome. I mean, we have a very active and robust home game club here. We play on Poker Stars just for play money. And
Yep.
I think, honestly, it's been described as the most difficult play money tournament series on earth. And I think it honestly is, because when you get people playing as a hobby, like people that love the game, you're not playing for the payout. You're paying for the bragging rights and to improve as a player, and just because we like the competition of it. So that's great. I think the more of that we can cultivate in the poker world, the better.
Sorry, just quickly with it. I think as we're all guys, well, and there's guys and girls obviously, but as we get older, you stop playing sports and things, but you still have that competitive drive.
Yes.
It's like with mates, you want to beat them at everything. It doesn't matter if it's rocks, paper, scissors, or a game of pool at the pub. This is a way to do that. You can talk plenty of shit, and
Yeah, I think that's a real thing. And poker's a great game for that. It really is, and it really lends itself to that very naturally. And of course, it's even more fun when you win. So we're all looking for ways to improve and ways to learn and practice. I think now you've been obviously a fan of poker for a long time, but you've been involved in this for, almost 20 years now, it sounds like. Yeah. Have you progressed as a player? What's been your learning experience as you've come along with it?
Just from seeing a lot of hands, I've never really put serious time into learning the game, but I've been around enough people who have in a way. I'm competitive at the local pub level type tournament, but if you've put any type of effort into learning the game of poker, you've got me covered. So I can, I think I can play in any state of sobriety kind of thing. Always put a few moves. I know the basic maths, know what you should be and shouldn't be doing. It's all about positional, all those kind of, 1, 2, 3 step things. But if you're going into hand ranges and putting people on, you've got me covered. So, yeah.
I love it. That's fantastic. I see Joe Coolis is unmuted here. Joe, jump in.
Well, I just wanted to invite Steve to my home game if you'd like to come and
play. Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. Lost plenty of money back in the day because there was no such thing as our poker league. So when we were learning, we went to a few home games and was relieved of our cash. And you go, okay, this is what's happening here, and then as you go on, you learn more and more. But that's what I love doing, I suppose, is been doing for so long, is bringing people into the game for free. They learn, and some people then have no desire to do it any more socially. Some actually do really well and go on and get good scores and go on to play in big tournaments around the world. And so it's good to feed those people into the machine, poker machine,
Yeah. Well, you never know how high the ceiling might be on some players if they don't give it a try. I think we owe it to the poker world to make the game as inviting and friendly and as engaging and pleasant as possible. That's why I can't understand all these jerks at the table being dicks all the time. I mean, they're a subset of the population, but we kick them out. We don't even let them in the home game club. If people are rude or abusive or berate people, or we just give them the boot and we say, nope, sorry, we'd rather have a smaller crowd with better people in it.
The only people you should berate are your close friends.
Yes, that's right. And it's funny, especially with guys, I think we have that kind of like giving each other the gears, respect, rapport kind of thing. It's not for everybody. So you really have to pick your crowd.
That's actually why Jim doesn't berate anyone.
The twist, Somsky with the twist.
First knife in the back, I love it.
That's right. Now I see Chris unmuted first, and then I think Troy has a question as well. But Chris, why don't you jump in?
Well, I got our first question from chat, and I'm almost afraid to ask it because it sounds like there's some insider knowledge here. But John Homer asks me to ask you to tell the story about the apple in the bird bath story.
Okay, well, long story short, I'm a degenerate gambler with mates. I will bet on anything. I've even bet on my own death with my business partner, who we have a last longer in life. Homer, I deliberately tell this story in front of Homer all the time, John Homer, because it annoys the hell out of him because he's heard it a million times. But came home drunk one night with my business partner, who's my poker business partner. We're up in his apartment. There's a bird bath off the balcony. We're all very drunk. And I said, give me odds of throwing this apple into that bird bath, probably about a 30-meter throw. And he said, I'll give you, I think it was 80 to 1.
Oh.
And I said, I'll have $5 on it. So I took it, went out there, took a bite, lobbed it. Nothing but net, straight in the middle. And then about a year later, same thing. There's another party happening there. A tree has grown up, a little bush over the bird bath.
Oh.
Can I have odds again, please? They've done it. Nothing but net one more time.
Oh my God. I'm sure he didn't give you 80 to 1 on that second pass, though. He was a little educated by then.
He didn't give the bet, but the other people there did.
Oh.
One of my favorite things to do is to extort money out of friends for a good cause. Poker all the time. Our current thing to do is, if somebody's like last longers in poker, if someone gets through with a 7-2 move or something like that, money gets donated. We raise money to give dogs at the RSPCA, like the animal shelters. So we get the dog toys. I am deadly at throwing chips. So I've had them in my hand for 25 years. So closest to walls and things like that, we've raised money for cystic fibrosis. I've got a Floyd Mayweather record in never being beaten in that game on that night for charity. I was giving people 2 to 1 of beating me on, throws. And I went, I think, 27-0 and managed to, raise $500 for the cystic fibrosis. So anything I encourage anyone who's involved. It's not about the money when you gamble. It's the principle of the thing, and it's $1 or $100, whatever. You shouldn't be going bankrupt over it, but have a bit of fun with gambling and, give it back to good causes.
Oh, that's great, Steve. And yeah, I mean, finding a good cause and taking money from people to support it, that does sound like an even better way to do it. Literally, seriously, when we're finished with this show, let's email, because we do a lot of work here to support local food banks. And I think getting people that are involved in helping good causes like that, we've all got a lot in common. So we should find a way to help make that work for each other.
Absolutely.
Troy, you are up, my man. What's next?
So, Davey, I just want to ask a question about, you've been doing the tournaments with so many different clubs, with so many different people over the years. what are the foundational aspects that you think you have in regards to being able to run a good game? What has to be there for people to want to come back every week and play? Because, just so everyone knows, how many games per week do you run?
I run about 5 to 6 per week. We have in our region here in Sydney, we have 17 at the moment. Pre-COVID, it was 21. So we've got a group of staff and who go around. We usually have one tournament director per tournament. Our average tournament size is about 40, goes up to about 300 is for our regional finals at the moment. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, you got to have integrity in the tournament. We were the first company that started this. So as you can imagine, it exploded. And when I think I first met you, Chapo, I'm bad with memory and things, but that was on the Central Coast, I believe.
Yep.
And our first tournament that I set up there, I said we had 91 players at our first tournament or whatever it was in Sydney. I had sat 280, I think it was, up there and turned away 80 because I didn't have enough. So you can imagine a lot of different people and saw that and went, oh, these guys are making money. This is a good business idea. I will get involved. And because it's a gambling industry, you get a lot of unscrupulous people that will have a crack at things.
Yep.
But the most important thing is you've got to have a set of rules to play by. If you don't have rules in any sport or anything, then things fall apart pretty quickly. You've got to have integrity in the rulings. So, you can't be sitting there and say, oh, Chapo, you're my mate. Oh, you can bet out a turn, but the bloke next to you can't. You've got to have transparency in your prize pools. Like we have, for say a $40 entry, there is money that comes out for tickets to bigger events and so forth. You've got to break it down to the exact dollar and show people why. This is what your money is going to. You can't be like, oh, it's $1,000 guarantee and there's rebuys and add-ons and there's $1,000 in the prize pool. So he goes, but hold on, there's 90 people here and we all pay $30 each. Where's the rest? Oh, no. It's just like anything in life. If you've got integrity and honesty, and then as well, you've got to have a bit of fun with it. If you don't like people, I love having a chat with people and let's face it, we've all done jobs before which are really hard, digging ditches and, doing all types of crazy stuff. People work hard in life. I don't work that hard. You know what I mean? I'm standing around talking to poker players and making sure things run smoothly. And because people have played for so long now, most of the games do that. So I'm just dribbling shit, really, like I am now.
No, we truly have the best jobs in the world, Steve. I think no one would disagree with that. Joe, jump in.
I was going to say ditch diggers say that they would rather dig ditches than talk to poker players, to be honest.
Mind you, bad beats. You've got to be able to, that's one thing, Chapo. You've got to be able to have taken a bad beat story, nod your head, be thinking about a place you'd rather be, like drinking on the iced teas in Tahiti, and then still be able to ask a question like, so what did you do on the turn again? Even though you can what hand they had, what they did, what was going on. And then be able to move on that way. That's a good skill to have in running a good tournament. Because
that's what a psychologist does, is we listen to the same bad beat stories and figure it out. So you may have a career on your plate.
That's true.
That could be it. $10 per bad beat.
Yeah, that's right.
No, so I was going to ask, so with all the games that you've had over the years, have you got any memorable stories from some of the ones that have happened over time?
Memorable stories, there's been so many, but, memory's fading as you get older. But just the people that you've met along the way, the things that have happened, there's been so many, comebacks from one chip, the whole chip in a chair, where people... I've just loved seeing people get their way and win their way to bigger things. So a guy that Chapo knows and all the Central Coast poker crew know, a guy called Sean Birmingham, we used to call him the bridesmaid because I believe it was something like 14 seconds before he won a tournament. He then went on to win one of our bigger tournaments, which was called a Pro Open. And he then went, which we sent people off to the World Series in Vegas. He went over there and he cashed in the World Series. So
amazing.
Starting off in a free poker game, 1,000 starting stack, no idea, to going through and doing that. That's cool. There was, as far as, I can't think of the odds what it would be, but we had one of our big $1 million tournaments down at Crown Casino in Melbourne. and I was emceeing it, and the players, both players heads up, were forced all in on their blinds 4 times each. That's how the swings were in that game. I thought, well, that's just, Powerball lottery odds of that ever happening again.
Yeah, that's true.
They're 2 of the stories I can think of.
Can we go back to the first guy? Can you let us know why he was called the bridesmaid if he won his first tournament?
No. He lost heads up 14 times in a row. It was 12 before he won his first tournament. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, that checks.
Couldn't close it out, but then great guy too, Vermo. Great guy. That's
amazing. So I like this sense that is sort of what you were talking about before. You've got players of all different skill types coming in, and even if people are starting kind of raw or figuring their poker game out as they join, it provides kind of like a place for them to grow and to grow along. So what have you guys ever considered having like a training element to what you're doing there? Is it strictly just show up for fun? Are there people that like mentor other players or that kind of thing?
We sometimes, I think there is all types of people who play. So you've got your people who just coming for a beer and, get away from the family or wants to catch up with their friends. And there's people who take it a bit more serious. And I think the more serious players tend to, mingle with each other and start talking about hands and things like that and strategies and so forth. And that there's kind of like little groups that kind of tend to form. And then you see, 2 people out there having a drink, chatting away. And then they ask questions. I think the newer players then come and, ask a question off me or something like that. What should I do in this situation? And if it's something that's a bit more advanced, I will, pass them on to someone like a Troy. If I see an event saying, hey, well, Troy is right into his game, knows a lot about the strategy and so forth there. He's a really good guy to chat to about that kind of thing. So nothing really official. I know once when it was really booming at the start, one of my club venue managers said, how about we do like a learn how to play day, so to get people in? And we were getting, averaging well over 100 people per tournament. Advertised it on the radio, went hard like that, went there. 2 people showed up the first week, 1 the next.
Oh,
that was it. Great. So kind of people learn, it's like jumping in the deep end, I think. People kind of learn on the felt. But now, I suppose with, got you guys and stuff like that and Troy and everything like that, there's more talk of it, so people can find it easily enough online if they're looking for that mentoring type thing and want to take it to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, it's great because I think a lot of the people that join RecPoker, if they become premium members, we have a little chat, we meet over Zoom, like they get pretty involved, we get to know each other pretty well. And one of the common comments that I hear from people is, I love poker and I've got great friends, but my friends don't love poker. And so there's just not that group that I can talk to about the game, I can study with and learn with. And it feels like an organization like yours just has that really natural, ability for people to come together of all different walks of life and experience levels and come and enjoy this game. So that's beautiful. That is like, I know I mentioned this before, but it sounds a lot like our home game club where we're here to have fun. And then the people that you meet along the way, become your study group or your poker story circle. And then you can tell each other bad beats. And there's a reciprocal element to that.
Definitely. Now, you see, I think a lot of people have become lifelong friends through the people that they've met at poker. Yeah. Births, deaths, marriages. It's all happened through the poker scene that we've been involved with.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So what does the future hold for you and for the league? You sound like you're kind of based in the Sydney area. Is that like I don't know Australia well enough to know how it sort of divides up into different regions, but is that kind of
so when it all started, it was 10 regions of Sydney. Sydney got divided into 10 regions, and people bought each region. Then it exploded, and the guys who own the league started selling off different regions, different cities, and little sections of cities. We're now Australia-wide, apart from the ACT, which is the Australian Capital Territory, which is kind of a little mini state in between New South Wales and Victoria. So Sydney and Melbourne in between, which is where all the politicians live. It's illegal there. You used to be able to, get porn, grow weed, get fireworks, which are illegal everywhere else. but they also happen to be legal. I don't know. I'm not sure. And also the Northern Territory, which is a state where Alice Springs or Darwin. Have you heard of Darwin before?
Yeah, vaguely, yes.
Right there in the middle. That's also illegal there to have a free game of cards.
Huh.
Yeah, as in free, as in no money's involved. You aren't not allowed to sit there and play a game of cards. Very bizarre as far as
that
illegal.
That sounds like the premise of an 80s movie or something, and then we need like Kevin Bacon to come in and shake some fun into them by the lapels. That doesn't make any sense at all.
It's even in Western Australia, so where Perth is located, there's a weird rule there. So you have to buy this goes back to the community, so it's kind of okay like sporting clubs. You have to buy like a license for a nightly game to hold a cash game type thing, like an entry fee tournament. So that goes, I suppose it's a way of raising taxes for the local community, and that goes to that. But yeah, I couldn't run a free poker league over there and give away a T-shirt for you leading the leaderboard after a season. That would be illegal.
Right.
We have some like you guys, we have some strange laws in place that no one's really, thought through yet, or they thought through it in the 1790s and haven't adapted yet. But yeah.
Yeah, it's one of these tricky things about the poker industry, and we've explored it in Canada and the States. We don't know the Australian legalities as well, but there seems to be. Gambling has a bad rep, and we can talk about whether poker is gambling or not, or how much of gambling it is, but it does kind of get painted by that broad brush, which makes it hard to do it. Doesn't make sense to me, but I guess it's an easy cause for politicians to kind of get support from part of the
So actually, a funny story when it comes to it. So when we first started, everything was free. There was no entries to tournaments. Literally was turn up, you play for free, win your way through. So our first competitors that came in were like, okay, let's have entry fees. So our company, not myself, but our company lobbied the government to say, hey, this is gambling. We're not doing gambling. We're just playing a card game. These guys are gambling. So if you shut that down, we have the monopoly still. So that was the theory behind it. And the government actually said they're not gambling. You're paying money to enter a tournament in the hope of winning more money, but you're legally not gambling. Same thing, I don't know. It was a weird thing. But then I don't think it's big enough overall to be, no one's, hiding from their taxes or en masse like big multinational. Right. It's not worth the lawyer's time to chase things and everything. But yeah, now it's all, we still have an element of free rolls. I reckon we have probably 5 out of our 17 a week of free games, and the rest are small entry fees. But you're going back to your question before, digressing, where do you see poker going now? It's getting to the stage of more kind of what they call little mini tours. So we have one around Australia every month. We call them the APL Poker Tour, and it'll be about roughly 25 to 30 tournaments over a 7-day period, buy-ins from $80 through to $5,000.
Okay.
So and then there's other companies doing very similar things, like the tours. So they tend to be what's kind of starting to happen now, and I really like that. So you've got your progression up from your local game through to bigger ones. I also think there's a couple of poker rooms now that are starting to get bigger. There's one out in Western Sydney from WPT League, a guy called Bruno, a good friend of mine runs it, does a great job out there, St. John's Park. Shout out to Bruno if he's listening, which he probably isn't. It's that whole, go somewhere and have a permanent set up poker room ready to play. Because at the moment we have our tables at the venues and equipment. We set it up, run the tournament, break it down, put it away. These are now the permanent poker room, which I'm starting to see more of from friends who live in the States, the legal ones. It seems to be where things are going. And I think in time, people like that. You've got an amount of money, you want to go down to Joe Blow's poker room, play a tournament against a group of people. I think that's more of a thing that the future will go through.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting in all the different parts of the world to see how different organizations and as the laws change too, and as politicians catch up and that kind of thing. I know Chris has some YouTube comments to get to, but Troy, why don't you jump in there first? I saw you on mute.
So, Davey, just a quick question on what you can see when you're not actually in the game. What attributes are you seeing in the average recreational player that exhibit when they're moving through those stakes from free roll all the way through to the ones at the APLPT? Do they all have common characteristics?
No, everything's different. It's the as you say, talking about, say, the players that do it the best progress well.
Yeah.
It's the person that comes in and if they once they get the bug, so to speak, they get there and they say, okay, who am I playing against on this table? There's usually 7 other people on the table. Who's here, just socially having a few beers? Who here has no idea? Who here is taking it serious? Who's trying to get away from the wife for a few hours? Who's drunk, kind of thing. So that adapting to the play and going, okay, this is the person I need to target for chips and so forth. They're the ones that I find pick up, the ones who pick that up quickly and then don't complain when they get beaten by the drunk guy who's called them with goes runner, but go, okay, I wanted to be in that position. Like, I got my money in good. Didn't work out tonight because there's the element of luck involved. But the ones who kind of absorb that pretty quickly and then don't blame others when they get knocked out, kind of thing, or the short, I'm so unlucky. Well, no, actually, you called a raise with A7 and then ran ace king. Those people who kind of, a bit of a, self-realization to their game, they're the ones that tend to go well quickly. And like in anything in sporting, the people who keep calm under all the different situations, the ones who, if you lose 3/4 of your stack, don't go, oh, well, it's all over now, I'm all in next hand. Like the ones who actually go, okay, now I've got a short stack, I have to adapt my play, and this is, change my range. They're the ones that tend to, go well, I think.
Yes. Chris, what's going on? I see the YouTube chat's blowing up. Steve, I think you brought some friends along.
Yeah,
tonight.
there's a lot of questions, so I'll try to get to some of them quickly. But I'll start with Josh Campbell's. He's wondering if you'll be betting on the Wallabies in the Rugby World Cup.
I find rugby union is a hillbilly game played by gentlemen.
Fair
I
enough.
love all my sports. Rugby union is the rich man's game out here, and it's a very skillful game, like most of them. But I find it's it's all the rich boys play it, but I think it's very, very much a hillbilly game. But and the Wallabies are shit, so no, I wouldn't be betting on them.
You wouldn't bet on them. All right, sounds good. This is going to start with a little bit of a joke, but I'm actually asking a serious question after this. But John Homer asks, so Stephen, who is the best person you have met through poker, and why is it me?
I think we found a Phil. I think we found a Phil in Australia, Chris. I think this John Homer guy sounds very familiar.
Yeah, he does.
I was best man at Homer's wedding. Homer has actually only got funny since he met his now wife. Serious man, never funny. I believe he met his his wife, about 3 years ago. Ever since he met her, hilarious. Credit to Jess. Homer, you're meant to be at work. Get back to work.
Get back to work, Homer. Tiltsis asks, what, and this might be something specific to the games you're running, but what are about the potential for cash games or timed tournaments?
So cash games, they've been legal for a while now, and they have them in some venues. Some APL venues do it. I personally won't be doing them. I don't like them. I think if you want to play a cash game, you can go to the casino or you can go to these ones. But for me, I love the social aspect and just the one for entry fee, $20, $30, whatever, and play for the night. I don't want to see people in there, because let's face it, some people are really bad at poker. I don't want to see people losing hundreds and hundreds of dollars coming out for a social night. I take it from all the social aspect. It's obviously a personal choice and people can do that if they want, but I would rather just, not see people losing. I think there's more problems that happen when, someone's had a few drinks, they've lost $800 in a cash game at the thing, they accuse someone of cheating, all the things that the flow and effect I would rather just not have. So there's a reason I don't do it.
Yeah. And then lastly, we've got a question from Danny Wood, wondering about how the ban in online poker, how that has impacted live poker.
I thought it actually might get a few more people coming along to our regular games, because I think online would be our biggest, I would have thought, competitor, in a way where, people are busy, they finish work, they might have, families they've got to look after. They can sit there and, have their dinner, put the kids to bed and go, you know what, I just want to sit down and have a game of poker. I can play online. But it doesn't really seem to have affected our numbers, where people are now turning up to play because, hey, I can't play online. I used to like playing online. I think it's criminal that you can't play online legally in Australia. I can lose my money on a slot machine based in, out of Mongolia, but I can't play a game of skill, or poker thing. It's a bizarre rule. I think the government, that's a very kind of, they did it because we have a problem with gambling in this country. We have 20% of the world's slot machines in my state, New South Wales alone. So I think it's very easy to say, oh, look, we're doing something about problem gambling. We will stop this poker tournament. It does nothing, achieves nothing. Where the reality is they should be making it legal and then getting the companies to come in here and taxing them. If you play a $5 sit and go, there's a 20-cent fee to PokerStars or whatever and a 10-cent tax. Everyone would play. It's just a strange thing. I don't think it doesn't seem to have affected us much. But yeah, it's a joke that it is illegal in this country.
Yeah, Joe, you had a question next, I think.
Well, actually, kind of what you're talking about led exactly to what I want to talk about. So I'm a psychologist and I do research periodically. And one of the things I was digging around for was numbers on how poker related in terms of problem gambling. It was actually in relation to a question about, is it gambling and do people gamble away too much money? And I came across it's a governmental agency within Australia that looks specifically at these questions and actually has an entire report about it. And I just wondered, given that, online gambling was pulled and you've lost the Aussie millions, do you have pressure from that organization in terms of you shouldn't be putting these things on? Do you feel pressure from the government to reduce gambling or to not do it?
There's actually, no, we don't ourselves, but because of the prevalence of slot machines, that's where the gambling is, the big thing. Now sports gambling is becoming bigger because of the advertising, so forth. So they really like, and I love gambling, but they should put a bit of a knock on the ads. Kids shouldn't be seeing ads of what a team is, what odds they're paying, and so forth. But no, it tends to be. We don't really get thrown with it. They're probably too small, but it's the slot machines are now starting to get a bit of blowback, as I think they should, where they want to limit the bets and so forth. Like you can, in Australia, you can put $100 notes up to in a slot machine, and you can play $10 per press. So you can imagine $100 goes very quickly. Mm-hmm. So a lot of talk in the club industry, well, not in the clubs, from the governments about minimising those. Either the amount you can bet or the amount that you can put in, and having like cashless type ones where you've got a predetermined amount on a card and so forth. So there's a lot of activity around that at the moment, and it's coming into a state election, and the next federal election will be a couple of years away. But at the end of the day, I don't think anything will change because the government makes so much money off gambling taxes that I think they do a token effort like, yes, that's outrageous. We should not have any gambling at all. Let's put another slot machine. That's what we tend to happen. But yeah, we don't really get any blowback for what we do. No.
It's interesting because here in the to be named state, maybe at some other point in the future where I may or may not gamble periodically, they legalized all forms of gambling, including sports gambling and online slots and everything else. And they were supposed to legalize online gambling, and they technically did, but they never actually put forth any sort of platform for anybody to use. And so it's kind of amazing. It's like they went through this entire thing for gambling, and we were all hoping that we'd be able to gamble online, and it just never happened because they don't care enough about poker, which, I think it's probably similar to the problem you're facing.
Yeah, it's not. We're just not big enough on the scheme of things to warrant their efforts, I suppose.
Yeah,
I'm seeing a couple comments in our chat here too. Troy's chipping in, and we call slots poker machines. Which I mean, you guys got to stop doing that. You're killing us here.
Yeah, that's what the reason I've been calling them slots is because I know you guys talking to the Americans, the audience, but there's poker machines out here, which is wrong. So when people come past and see what you're doing and like, oh, we're playing poker, and they're like, poker machines, and I say to people, what do you do for a living, Steve? I run poker tournaments. So you run poker machines? No.
Yeah.
Poker tournaments, card game. Yeah. So that's what they're called. Machines, but
you're dealing off a stacked deck then. I mean, that's gonna make things tougher. I also see we've got, speaking of the Australian invasion, we've got the one and only Merv Harvey in the chat here in YouTube. Longtime friend of the show, Merv. Nice to see your name pop up here every time I do. Many Australian politicians think poker and poker machines are the same thing. Yes, so that's something we gotta work on. We gotta come together around the world and break that, because that's killing you. That is killing you.
All what we should do is create more of an alliance between America and Australia, and if you guys can have, because you can gamble online on PokerStars and that, maybe we can open bank accounts in your names, and we can do some type of deal where we put the money in and you take a little percentage on the way out.
Steve, that's exactly what they're trying to avoid. No, Steve.
We're going to exclude Canada from that, though.
Oh, that's great. I'm also getting some encouragement to dox our friend Tiltsis here and make sure everyone knows that's Tim Oakley, the one and only. So there you go, Tim Oakley. Thank you for checking in on YouTube and for joining the show here tonight. So Steve, we're getting to the end. The light's going down. We're rolling things out. A couple things. So first, I just want to make an offer. Anyone who's playing in Steve's region in Australia that is playing in his home game league, we're about to enter what we call Marek Madness, which is our March Madness ladder bracket. And it's a great thing that's going on twitch.tv/RecPoker. Steve, if anyone in your league or anyone who's in your district wants to sign up for a free RecPoker account, I'm going to give them a free premium account at RecPoker if they sign up in the month of March. So we can they can get in touch with you and we can arrange that, or they can just email me directly, Jim@rec.poker, if you're listening to this and feel like that would be fun. We'd love to get more of these kind of fun-loving folks that are enjoying Steve's game. I think they'd be a great fit with what we're doing here. And and Merv Harvey says, just specifically, Steve, what region do you run? How can people know if they're in your area or not?
Okay, I'm in the Ryde, Gladesville, Canada Bay region of Sydney, which is about 10 to 15 minutes west of the centre of Sydney. But if you get on playapl.com and throw in your postcode and so forth, it'll show games near you, and you can check us all out on Facebook as well. So, yeah.
And is that the best way to get in touch with you, Steve? Playapl.com. That's
playapl.com. Yeah, our website's we've got an app as well now. After many years, finally got an app. All the games are on there. You can check all around Australia where your local game is, all the details about it, all the leaderboards, all the events that are happening on ways you can be bigger and better at poker.
Yeah, nice. Well, we keep talking about doing like a RecPoker road trip down there. I'll know for a lot of people, it's a bucket list item to get down and play in Australia. So one of these days, we're going to get the gang together and we're going to have to share a couple cold ones. I can tell already, just getting to know you here, that we'd have an awfully good time if we did, Steve.
Absolutely. And Chapo will put you all up at his place. He's got plenty of room. His wife won't mind. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. All right, Troy, the word's out, man. We're on to you now. What do you say? You got a bunk room? You can put up about 8 Canadian and American RecPoker members?
I'll find room for all the RecPoker guys if they come down.
And I'll supply the first few cases of beer.
Yeah, there you go. Fantastic. Well, Steve Davy, wonderful fella, very involved in the recreational poker scene out there in Australia. You've heard how to get in touch with him here. Give him a follow on Facebook and go check out that Play APL website and see if there's a game near you. Steve, thanks again. And seriously, let's connect afterwards somehow, because I'd love to combine our powers to support some dog shelters and fight against cystic fibrosis together. That's
for sure. And I'd love to get a few of the players that show an interest now in progressing their game and getting better. I'll send them your way as well to learn more and progress.
Right on. Well, thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your day. We're going to go move off into membership land here, but our paths will cross again. Thanks again, Steve.
Okay. Cheers, guys. Have a good day. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to start talking about some home game results. I think first we should probably just get in. Well, first of all, folks, we're about to do our draw. Someone is going to win a free month of membership, of subscription to Range Trainer Pro. So Range Trainer Pro is a fantastic training tool. It's brought to you by K.L. Cleaton, who's an awesome dude, even if he can lay some pain on you at the poker table. We don't have to get into it. I'll tell you later. He's kind of a jerk, but a lovely, lovely guy, K.L. Cleaton, honestly. So if you type the words food bank into the YouTube chat right now, that's all you have to do. Show up for free on Monday nights at 7:30 Eastern on YouTube. Type the words food bank into the chat and you will be entered into a chance to win a free month of Range Trainer Pro. Now, actually, I should say, sorry, we're going to do a draw. It's based on the food bank thing. If you are not a RecPoker Premium member, you're going to win a free month at RecPoker because you got to try RecPoker if you're not a RecPoker Premium member. But if you are a RecPoker Premium member, then you get elevated to this whole other tier of prize selection. Range Trainer Pro is the prize tonight, but we're also going to be giving away free months to pokercoaching.com, Learn Pro Poker, and a few other amazing sites out there. Plus, we've got some other cool prizes, discounts on coaching packages and things like that. So you are in charge. And I guess technically, if you win, I would give you until tomorrow to sign up to be a premium RecPoker member, because that only costs $5 if you use the code RecPoker. And now you can get a whole free month of Range Trainer Pro, which is, significantly more expensive because it's such a phenomenal product. But okay, got to talk about the Running Aces events that are coming up. If you're listening to this in real time, it's not too late to make it to the Pot of Gold from March 1st through 5th. That's a $360 buy-in tournament with multiple starting flights. On March 18th, there's the Post-Patty Day free roll. And that one's going to be a lot of fun. We did a whole episode that might have come out by now.
I think
it came out a couple of weeks ago.
Saw that. So if you're going to go play in that, go listen to that episode because we talked all about optimum strategy, number of buy-ins, all kinds of good stuff.
Yes, and I did get some feedback actually. So Doug, who's a fantastic guy, it's Doug Behrens. You guys know who Doug Behrens is. He's fantastic. He's been a RecPoker member for a long time, and he's really helped me with a lot of sort of thinking about how we put the site together, how we organize our content, that kind of stuff. He told me that he loves the show, but frankly, we got it wrong on that one because you're gonna need to buy in more. He's like, Jim, just buy in a little at first and then top it up as you go along. He's like, no, you got to put money on the table because everyone on the table is going to be loading up their chip stacks. I'm like, hey, I mean, he's played in a lot more of those than I have. So I'm going to have to make it down for one of these free rolls. And we can see if the now then KB style or the Blusterini style reigns supreme when the time comes.
I mean, yours has the benefit of being sort of like knit approved. I think it's like the knit roll approved.
I think that I'm always going to have that benefit. That's never not going to be a factor for me. And then the last thing that I'm really excited about at Running Aces, at the end of March, they're having their Mid-States Poker Tour series, which is going to be a lot of fun. That's from March 23rd to April 2nd. There'll be multiple events, and I'm not going to get into too many of the details because is it next week? Oh God, it is next week.
It is next week.
Yes.
Yep.
Next week, Running Aces tournament director or tournament manager, I'm not sure. Tournament bigwig, John Barrows is going to come back on the show. He's been on once before. He had a really interesting conversation about the business of managing a poker room, balancing rake, different tournament structures, that kind of thing. So we're going to have him on the show next week. That'll be a lot of fun, and we will talk about, I'm sure the subject of the Mid-States Poker Tour will come up then. So people have had a little time to enter the words food bank in the chat, but John Somsky, why don't we go through the home game results and let some folks know what else they've won before Chris rolls his magical die.
All right, we'll start with Ibby884, John Ibbotson, who I believe is somehow related to Kate Ibbotson, which is Stewie's mom.
Oh, it must be. It's the Stewie Carriage family is growing
Yeah, I believe so. Anyway, John won his first nightly event for the year. A really mad guy, got his first nightly event for the year. Stewie 13, Stuart Carriage, didn't want to be left out, and he won his first nightly event for the year. Keck Geek Senior got his third nightly event for the year. He's on a tear this year.
No kidding. And you're just calling him Keck Geek Senior because you know how that family breaks down, right? Right. Because it's not actually even his username.
No, his username is just Keck Geek, but he is the senior Keck Geek.
Yes.
Keck Geek 65, who you think would be the older one,
I know, right?
Yeah.
is actually Keck Geek Junior.
Yep. There you go. Speaking of family tandems here in the home game club,
some powerful family in the Rec Poker home game.
Then we have E. Anderson 85. Eric Anderson got his first nightly event for the year.
Oh.
Well, his name, that's totally public. I'm not doxing anyone here. Pet Bet 33, Kim Kilroy, got her second nightly victory for the year.
Wow.
That's like her like
what is that, 400th
lifetime?
What does she have?
That is her 39th.
Wow.
So she's only 11 away from the Lifetime Achievement Award. So the question is, can she get 11 before Evil Roy gets one more?
If anyone could, that's who it would be.
Yep. So then Stewie 13, Stuart Carriage, got his first daily mixed victory of the year.
Stuart's back?
Yes.
Wow. 2
in 1 week. Izinma got his first international victory for the year. And Hawsey 8 got his first international victory for the year. And Gibber 3, Jim Gibson,
the real Jim,
won the LPP event. So he can contact Jim at rec.poker for his free month at Learn Pro Poker.
Hail Purdue. Hail Purdue.
And Jim, if you're hearing this, send me that email, jim@rec.poker, because you're going to love your free month of Learn Pro Poker. I think you're also the first winner of our free month of pokercoaching.com that we did back a few weeks ago. So Jim Gibson is loading up. This is what happens.
She's just going to try out all the sites. He's just going to have a free month everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, that is how we do things here. So if folks don't know, our Learning with Partners program, a lot of the great training sites in the world share their premium paid paywall material with our members because they know how important it is for recreational players to grow the game, to learn more about it. And they feel like Rec Poker is the great place to come and get kind of a taster's choice. You can get free access to behind the scenes premium training content from Solve for Why, Learn Pro Poker, pokercoaching.com, Red Chip, and the Poker Forge. We also have a lot of great stuff from Gareth James's MTT Poker Academy. And there's even a few more out there. It's just a fantastic program. It's all included in your Rec Poker Premium membership. So come and give us a try. Your community account is free. All it takes is an email address and a smile, although both are compulsory. But if you use the code Rec Poker, you can get your first month of premium membership for only $5. And after that, it's only $15 a month. I maintain it's a bargain. Joe, you look like you want to jump in there with something.
Well, I mean, you say it's a taster's choice, but we know you like to put on airs and call Rec Poker the amuse-bouche of poker training sites.
I like that. I think they might start using that. We'll only alienate about a third of the market, which sounds like a good ratio for us. But yeah, come check out a little amuse-bouche of the poker world and see what we can tantalize your palate with over here at the Rec Poker membership. Oh, we've got a question from Danny Wood in the YouTube chat that I cannot resist answering. He says, how do you become a premium member? Well, Danny, that is a great question. It could not be easier. You go to www.rec.poker and you sign up for a free community account, like I say. And then if you just go, you can see a join premium or go premium button up at the top. And all it takes is $5. That's going to get you your whole first free month. your whole first month for only $5. And I guarantee you're going to have some fun and find some great stuff there if you do. Oh, and Jim Gibson is in the chat and says, "Hail Purdue. I need all the coaching I can get." All right. Well, I think, what do you think, Chris? Have we given people enough time?
I think we've given them enough time.
Well, we don't want any controversies here. So why don't we roll through it? So I see in order, we have to do this in order because if Phil Razor shows up and gets bamboozled again, I listen, call off your dogs. Get your lawyers to stop sending me threatening letters, Phil. It's gone on too far. It's gone on too long. We don't have the resources to support this kind of legal attack. Charles, so we have to do it in order so people know what the order is. Charles Allen, Josh Campbell, Mary McCune, Merv Harvey, Arnold Barron, Jay Fleming, Danny Wood took us very literally there, Tilt Sis, and John Homer. I see 9. Does that square with you?
That squares with me. And by very
That's
literally,
just my count.
He typed food bank into the chat because you always
really did
type food bank into the chat, which is
I like this Danny Wood character.
I like it too. I very much. So I've got one of my nerdy dice. I've got a 10-sider, and I'm going to re-roll if I get a 0. All right?
Okay.
Here we
Let's
go.
see.
It is a 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's Danny Wood!
Danny Wood! Food bank into the chat! Let's go!
Danny Wood! All right.
Okay.
Well,
So
there you go.
So just to clarify, Danny is one of our Aussie mates and is one of our regular home game poker buddies.
Oh.
So that is awesome.
That's great. Well, Danny.
Oh, I thought you were saying he shouldn't be allowed to win then.
Yeah, we
well, that's okay.
Better. Well, that's fantastic. So let's talk about putting things, positive energy into the world. Danny's the guy that asked, "How do you become a premium member?" Well, apparently, Danny,
you win the roll. That's how you become a premium member.
Show up on Monday and enter the food bank raffle giveaway. That's how you become a premium member.
This is not a way to make money for the site, I'm telling you.
So, Danny, send me an email, please. It's real easy. It's Jim, Jim, at rec.poker. And you can see how easy it is to put that together. Don't be a stranger. Shoot me a line, and I'll get you all set up with your month of premium membership. And I will say again, if you're someone who's playing in Steve's region, and if you enjoyed the show tonight, anyone, you send me that email, jim@rec.poker. I'm going to give you a free month. Is if you're in that region. So I'm not gonna geolocate you or like send people to your house to make sure that you're really where you say you are. So don't abuse the system. But if you are someone who fit from there, send me an email. I'd love to get you more involved with Rec Poker. And if you're not, just drop the $5, people. Get your first month for only $5 using the code Rec Poker. So no, actually, Danny, it's just rec.poker. Isn't that amazing? They let us use that. There's no .com. It's just Jim@rec.poker, www.rec.poker. We love it. We got it.
And you only need to put the www in there if you are a boomer. Everyone else can just drop it.
Everyone else knows. See, John comes across as this really nice, friendly guy, but he knows how to twist the knife every once in a while. He's really good at it. So we got to start winding this down because every month we do a deep dive seminar, and Chris Jones, who runs these, we do them on the 4th Monday of the month after the Chats podcast. So it takes Chris a little while to get that all set up because you guys, and let's just take a moment here and appreciate everything Chris Jones does for Rec Poker. I talk about the RECing Crew a lot. And everyone is really involved. Like John deserves a round of applause for what he does just with the home games alone. But Chris is a really, really big part of what goes on here. Not only producing a lot of the content, setting the curriculum for our training programs, but he's really hands-on involved with the nuts and bolts of the website, with the strategy, just with anything that makes us look good. There's a pretty good chance that Chris Jones was involved in that. So I'm gonna open this up. I'm opening it up this year. If you see John Somsky in the world, you know that you have an opportunity to buy him a beer, send me a photo. I need photo evidence of it happening. And then I will buy you a beer in Las Vegas for the summer if we're down there for WSOP together. I'm opening it up. This year is for Chris Jones as well. If you see Chris Jones in the world and buy him a beer, it has to be a beer for you, Chris, then I want a photo evidence or video evidence, preferably social media. Tag me on Twitter at RecPokerJim so I can share this moment of glory with the world. I will buy you a beer out of my own pocket when we get together in WSOP in Vegas this summer. But what I'm saying is Chris Jones runs this deep dive seminar every month. We're doing it next. This is really probably one of the things about Rec Poker that I think is the highest value for our members. You get to play with other Rec Poker Premium members in a simulated tournament environment for about an hour and a half. Chris records all the action with the cards face up and takes that playing sample. You basically put yourself out there. You play your best poker with a bunch of friendly poker players. Chris takes all that information, and he and Daro Kearney get together and they provide their own analysis on how you could have played certain spots better. It's like free coaching from Chris Jones with a touch of Dara. And Chris also produces a sort of like little summary about the play, because every month there's a different theme of the month, and the play in the session is always tied to that theme of the month. So I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it, but it is an awesome feature. It's starting soon, so we're going to have to roll on out of here, I'm afraid. Does anybody have anything to add before we do?
Yeah, is it actually legal to have a touch of Dara going on in our...
I think it depends on where the touch is occurring and how old everyone in the room is.
Okay.
Joe?
And I was just going to second that Jim and John and Chris do all the work around here. Troy and I are just eye candy, but we know our roles and we know what we have to do.
So it's really important. It's important.
Yeah, someone's got to class this.
We got to get some clicks and likes around this place. So I mean, that's.
I was saying chatting with Joe that his video filter there makes him look like he's about 25. And I was wondering what I needed to do to improve things. And he sent me a link to Amazon to some used goat blood that evidently you consume. And
virgin goat blood. It has to be virgin goat.
Virgin goat blood. Okay, there you go. Well, now I know.
Now you know. All right. Well, of course, I really want to thank Steve Davy for being a great guest and for having a lot of fun with us tonight. I want to thank all our fun first-time YouTube chatters. We got some people here who I wasn't used to seeing their names before, so thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. We do 2 of these a week, the chats and the forums. Go check us out. Of course, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. And Joe, Troy, John, and Chris for helping me out. And you, the listeners, we couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.